Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to I'll Just Do This for 5 minutes or 5 minutes of mindful creativity. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me so far. We've been slowly but surely building up our technique. And today I thought it might be nice to do a little bit of observational drawing. So in essence, kind of show you how to translate some of the forms that are around you right now. If you'd like to learn more about botanical drawing, then I recommend that you join our sketchbook club this summer because we're going to be doing an awful lot of that. But just for today, I want to talk to you again about the brush pen, but about how you work with a slightly bigger line. So here is a little kind of frond that I picked from my garden, and it's got this lovely long wiggly shape. So to begin with, we need to just learn how to make a longer line and a more sweeping line. And in order to do that, you need to kind of use your kind of base of your hand as a bit of a break, I suppose. So instead of working these kind of shorter lines that we were before, where we're just relying on the wrist, today we're going to have a go at doing some longer sweeping lines. So put your pen down at the top of the page and just pull as fast as you can and see if you can create a straight line to begin with. We're just skimming the page with this. We don't want a really thick line here. So just skimming the page with a brush and seeing if we can create a more even line. Once you've had a go at doing that sweep a few times, pulling your hand down quickly without kind of overthinking it, you can start to add a bit of a wiggle to that line. So can you create some lovely, smooth, curvy lines? You can press a bit harder at the bottom if you want to, just for the stem. Just have a little play with that. And then we're going to use that to inform what we do next. So here's my little branchy bit again. Start at the top, and I'm just following the shape of that line as it wiggles. I'm going to press a bit harder at the bottom because the stem does get a bit thicker. And then from there, we're going to have a play with some kind of further technique with the brush pen. So at the top, these little shapes, very simple to decipher. We're just using that pressing technique from last time. Very simple, pulling down towards the stem. And then when we get to these leaves here, we want to start kind of with a light pressure. And then as we build the volume of the leaf, we're going to press at the same time to create that thick line and then lift at the last minute. Did you see that? I'll do it again. So again here, press, and I'm pushing up, and then I'm lifting to create the end shape. Probably works a little bit better if you do it from the top. So I'll work my way down to the next lot. As you can see in nature, you know, things are actually really well organized. So it's like a pair, and a few bits, a pair and a few bits here. So on this next bit, slightly larger leaf, I'm going to press, ooh, I'm going to drag, and I'm going to lift. Okay, I balls that one up. So press, drag, and lift to create these shapes. Obviously, these guys are a little bit wider, so I can add a little bit into that. And you can always just block in the extra shape. And then again, these little leaves, we probably just press really hard and then lift, and you can create that lift shape, so that leaf shape. So press and lift. And one more time here, so just press for those smaller leaves, press for the smaller leaves. And then for the wider ones, we start off heavy, I push up to create that basic shape. And then with this one, I am actually going to just add into it again because, and of course you can leave that gap if you want to, or you can block it in afterwards. So the thing is with brush pens is we're creating silhouettes. It means we can't really explore the detail on the surface of the leaf, but we do find the form quite nice and easily, quite mindfully, by using this technique, so by using this particular process. Switch things up to something a little bit more delicate now, because this kind of technique we've practiced, I suppose, a couple of times in different ways. And I just wanted to talk to you about this. This is dill, picked from my garden. Something really, really lovely about working with herbs, because not only is the feel of them and just examining them and really noticing the shapes and patterns, but also the smell that comes off them is really beautiful. And again, connecting to our senses is a real mindful thing. It can help us ground us into the kind of present moment. So again, looking at the shape, I'm going to pop in that first little frond first. I'm going to move this because it's actually getting in my way. And some of these little kind of main stem shapes are going to go in now. Be really careful with this. If you work too fast, like I just did then, you'll end up with a much thicker line than you wanted. So these wiggly shapes form the core. And if you look really closely, these look just like those little forms that we were working on right at the beginning of this series. So really lightly now with the brush pen, really light pressure. So we don't want to press too hard. We want thin, kind of that look quite delicate shapes. And of course, you're not going to be able to record every single line here. Don't even try. Just get a sense, a feel for it. See how different that is in terms of the pressure, but also in terms of the marks that we're creating than the one to the left. And just keep building that up. We're kind of starting to get into almost pattern now. And I think people do just think everything needs to look like a photograph, and it doesn't. We just need to give people a hint of what tree we're barking up with this. And, you know, just keep it really light, keep it really loose, not too much pressure on these. And then it's just all those tiny little bits overlapping that will give us that sense of the dill. So this is really like this. See how light and kind of, you know, energetic the marks are that you can make from this. And actually the quicker you go, the less you kind of overthink it. So there we go. We've got kind of just something from my garden. We've got some dill. And the last one, very quickly, I'm going to do for you is some rosemary. So again, observe it first. Have a look at the shapes and the patterns. We've got like these little kind of clumps that come off, and they are actually quite organized. They look a bit crazy and woo, but they're actually quite organized. And at the top we've got these buds. So I'm going to put in that wiggly shape first, to that kind of looseness that I found. Pressing a bit harder again at the bottom where it goes a bit thicker. And I can start to pull out that main part of the rosemary. Before I do anything else, I'm just going to pop those buds in just by, again, pressing with the back of the brush pen. Just popping in the buds. The flowers, I pulled them off because I wanted you to see the structure a little bit better, but just working on the buds. And then for the rosemary, I mean, it couldn't really be simpler. It is just trying to get a fairly even line with a little bit of a point, so lifting at the end, and just sending these off in the weird and wonderful shapes that they appear in nature. Yeah, nature is not a place of perfection. There is a little bit of chaos. There is some order, but there's also an awful lot of chaos. So again, with slightly thicker lines than with the dill, because the rosemary does have a kind of more of a weight to it, doesn't it? And just slowly but surely working our way down. So it really, again, is just all about kind of learning to get the brush to work as you want it to. And I really do think if you slow down with this, you'll get way more control over the weight of the line. And you just need to practice getting that little bit of movement in today. So see if you can be a bit brave and kind of go top to bottom with these sweeping lines. Tune in first before you start having a go at drawing anything from the garden. And there are so many bits out there at the moment for you to draw. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this, and looking forward to our next session, which will be on pattern.